Hey, what's going on, crypto people? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Very, very cool. Hey, what's going on, crypto people? Excuse me. It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life. That is the digital asset space. What is going on, guys? Happy Thursday to you. What an exciting day. Be in the digital asset space, huh? Very, very exciting, guys. We got a lot of stuff to cover, really. Got some major shout outs to some awesome contributors and content creators in this space. We're going to talk about them today as well. Pretty much primarily focusing on one guy on Twitter today. We've had this guy, you all know we've had this guy on the channel before. He's hung out before. We're going to hook up hopefully later this year. I reached out to him. He's unable to do it uh, um, in the short term, but hopefully later in the year we'll be able to hook up. That is the awesome Ponder Jaunt. Really excited about being able to get him on the channel. We're going to point out some of his tweets on Twitter today. Excuse me, what an exciting time. Jusky14, Juicy 14. What's good? What's good? How are you, my friend? Happy Thursday. Sending love from Canada, brother. Oh, how about that? I appreciate you being here, my friend. Appreciate you being here. We love our neighbors up in the right. Appreciate that. Trice is in the building. What's going on, Trice? Exciting time to be in a digital asset space. The market didn't go down. We didn't have the red Tuesday. Wednesday was pretty good as well. And Thursday is looking okay. One of these days, I'm gonna do something with that BTC that I got. You need to do something with it. Need to do something with it. Well, so what's going on with this Bank of America thing? This is kind of getting what's going on there. People are getting really amped and excited about it. Really excited. I saw Mickey B. Fresh and Sir Gordon Gecko kind of having a little debate on Twitter about it. Both excellent guys in the community. You all know, right? We both excellent contributors to the community, right? Both of them awesome contributors to the community. Sir Gordon Gecko, Mickey B. Fresh. Gotta tell you, if I was to put my whole TSP on the line on an issue, I would lean towards Mickey B. Fresh in terms of having it right. That guy's a deep dive guy. He goes, don't know if anyone is always right. Right? We don't know that. Don't know if anyone's always right. But if I had to lean somewhere and my TSP was on the line, I would lean towards Mickey Fresh. So what is going on, guys? TJ Jackson, good to see you, my friend. Yeah, so this Bank of America thing, gotta tell you, interesting. I don't know how new or old this little recording on the bankofamerica.com site, do business in real time, Bank of America podcast, because it's like there's no dates. But they're talking about the real time payment system, and they said it was going to be gradually rolled out. Services will be rolled out gradually through 2019 and 2020. Obviously, this is a real time payment system, and you guys know where am I at? What's this thing? You guys know that I talked to my guy, and the guy had mentioned that they were moving in tier ones into the real time payment system. So this is definitely something that's happening. I believe there's something out from JP Morgan as well talking about real time payment system. So, but in the end, we got to kind of get that this is just the United States finally moving into real time payments. But I don't think anyone, I don't know, maybe, but did this is primarily, or at least initially, in my view, a domestic, in-house U.S. domestic thing. Initially, is what this real-time payment shows like to me, through the clearinghouse, through the ACH. That's what it feels like. So, finally, the U.S. banks It's gonna be like my guy said, and I believe Mickey Fresh is saying the same thing. It's the tier ones that are initially making this move, right? So we're talking the first top five banks, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, these types moving into this real time payment so they can provide this obviously to their clients and the likes. But that's what it feels like initially. Initially, what this is really all about. It's still exciting because anything real time is going to complement Ripple and what Ripple does for cross borders. I mean, obviously, because it's the end goal. The biggest challenge is not domestically; it is internationally. It's cross border. So, what the whole idea of getting people, especially in the U.S., used to it domestically, right? For example, why can't we get paid why can't people that have a job get paid at the end of 8 hours for that day, right? Why do they have to put in work to get paid, or 2 weeks of work to get paid? There's no reason why they can't get paid at the end of the day. Wouldn't that be outstanding? What do you think that would do for the workforce when they knew when they um, could get paid at the end of the day, when they knew, whoa, hold on a second, you guys got real time payment? I can get paid at the end of my 8 hours? We think that would look for the workforce would be pretty outstanding, right? So that's where I'm kind of thinking Bank of America real time payments. It's a domestic move initially. My guy didn't say; he just said that the tier ones will be moving, implementing, have the RTP part of the new quantum financial is having real time payments. And this is in fact what's going on. I don't think it's an accident that you're seeing stuff now from Bank of America. You're seeing stuff from JP Morgan. But again, from what I'm gathering, it's domestic, right? Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing for XRP. I'm gonna go over a blog on Coil. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know who this person is. It's Digital Assets ESQ. Don't know who he is, but it made a lot of sense. I'm gonna go over that. I think it's a great read. And then I'm gonna do some major shout outs to Ponder John Twitter. Found some great stuff from him. Doing a really great job on what he's doing. On Twitter, without question, doing a great job. But the Coil article I think was great because I think it's important to, I don't know. I think we all know ultimately, we say in this channel all the time, right? ILP, XRPL Ledger, XRP, ODL, just pick one. Just pick one, right? And what I mean by that, it doesn't matter if the digital asset XRP is going to be used here or used now. In the end, it's going to be used because the greatest challenge going on globally is illiquidity. It's illiquidity. That's the greatest challenge. And no one, whether it be from the WEF, World Economic Forum, or the IMF, or the World Bank, or the UN, or Powell, or Clayton, Mnuchin, or Donald, no one can argue that the greatest liquidity provider right now is XRP. The most liquid asset is, in fact, XRP, period. We're moving from the old traditional fiat dollar. We're moving into a digital world. XRP is king in terms of payments in that world. The WEF and the IMF and those people, they all agree that when it comes to blockchain technology and distributed ledger technology, the first use case, the use case that makes the most sense is in cross-border. They understand that. So the use of XRP is coming. Initially, it feels as though the real-time payments, what's going to be used that would make you and I excited is not XRP, but it's the ILP, Interledger Protocol, the thing that connects them all, connects the different networks. But it's not someone else's ILP. It's Ripple's ILP. Ripple, the company, good old United States company created it and gifted it to the W3. That'll be the initial thing, if you will. Doesn't mean that Ripple's, the company's not going to keep going out and getting contracts and bringing on banks and bringing on small and medium price, small, medium enterprises and SMBs, money transmitter businesses. That doesn't mean that they're going to Ripple, the company's going to stop. They're going to keep doing what they do. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. So liquidity and the liquidity index, bot and the indexes, that's going to still go and continue to ramp, right? That's still going to go and continue to ramp. So it's going to happen. And that's why I always say pick one, right? Because you got people like Kava and Sologenics, they picked the ledger, right? They've chosen the ledger. You got the people at Bitso, if you will, and Golance who chose XRP, right? So it's just a matter of time before ultimately it becomes the world's bridge asset. It's just a matter of time. So I get that Ripple and Bank of America, we saw the patent. We know that's the real deal. We understand that. So we know that Bank of America is working with Ripple. It's just a matter of learning what and what manner. Which manner are they working with? What ultimately are they going to be doing? We'll find that out. But did you guys see? Freaking Lee from SPQR Media got on Twitter. I don't know, maybe last night, late last night, maybe early this morning. And he pointed out something that I have been pointing out to you guys. I've been telling you guys, go check out that deep dive on Bank of America from Lee from SPQR Media. Let me share with you his little blurb that I told you guys. I'm like, that makes sense. So here, I'm going to share with you guys. Hold on. Let me change the view. Oh, let me say some shout outs before I even do that. Drice was good, bro. Good to see you. Juicy714. Appreciate you being here. YouTube biggest douche morning, man. What's up, bro? TJ Jackson, as always, appreciate you being here, my friend. XRP number one, thanks for hanging this morning. Bruh, XRP, what up? What up, fam? Hope we are all well in the quarantine with our best brother. See you. That should give you pause to be excited, Juicy 14. Because the fundamentals and the news and the partnerships, they haven't gone away, right? They're increasing. That should make you think, all of these partnerships, all of these soon to be real world use cases, and yet the price is still what it is. It's gotta tell you something. Gotta tell you something significant. Because in the end, never forget Ripple's mission. It is to go out and build more use cases for the digital asset that is XRP. It's not to go out and build more use cases for some other thing, right? Right? So who else is this? Quadwo Ose. Wow, good to see you on the stream, my friend. Likely to see a price move next 2 or 3 years. XRP is manipulated by the elites. Millions of XRP pilots tells us we are far away from price set. Yeah, well, it all depends on the crisis, I would say. Remember, the ultimate thing is the global liquidity crisis. The global economic crisis is the number one thing. It's not Bank of America's real-time payment or JP Morgan's real-time payment system or the clearinghouse's RTP. It's not. The number one thing is the global liquidity crisis. This is what's going to give the elites, right, and the powers that be, the opportunity to do what they ultimately want to do, which is a new quantum financial system. The difference between the elites and Donald is how they want in terms of good old US of A. Because the Donald is, in my opinion, he's not trying to have the US dollar not be the one. And if he can't win that one, he's going to want to have something that the good old US of A birthed, if you will, like XRP and Ripple take its place. You know what I mean? My humble opinion. So, bro, XRP, appreciate you being here, my friend. Warren Bartholomew. What's up, Warren? Good to see you, bro. So let's share this. 33 people on the stream, 15 likes. Do me a favor, guys. If you didn't get a chance to smash those likes on the way in, Just collapse the chat real quick. Go smash the like, then come back and hang out. What's up, Devon Steve? Good to see you, my friend. All right, let me change this view, share this little thing from my dude, Lee from SPQR Media. Again, the deep dive was awesome. You definitely got to figure out a way to get a hold of that. Someone in the channel put it on the put a link in the description of the video in the stream a couple of streams ago. All right, so where are we? I'm gonna shut up and let you guys check this out. It's only about 30-something seconds, I believe. Yeah, it's only 45 seconds. So here we go.
To actually be a market maker in America. Potential US liquidity provider. In a Bank of America document. Potential US liquidity provider. In a Bank of America document. Yeah. Can you see here where it's got FX market maker? So I think, looking at all this information, I really do think that Bank of America are partnered up with Ripple to actually be a market maker in America.
Again, guys. Again, guys, listen. This is a smart guy. The boys at SPQR Media, they do a really great job in deep dive and finding out some great stuff. I mean, he actually, I don't know how managed to get the calendar, scheduling calendar for, was it Mnuchin? Wow, I think it was Mnuchin, where they found Brad Garlinghouse on the calendar to see Mnuchin. You got to ask yourself, why in the world is Brad Garlinghouse, you know, remember back when he was just a CEO of a fintech company that sold software to banks? Remember back when that was his thing? Now he's the CEO of a blockchain infrastructure company. But you gotta ask yourself, why is it that he's on the calendar to see Mnuchin? And why wasn't Hoskinson on the calendar to see Mnuchin? Or I don't know, why wasn't McCaleb on the calendar? Jed McCaleb on the calendar to see Mnuchin. Gotta ask yourself, why is that? Yeah, you gotta ask yourself, why is that? So, Morris Prince is in the building. What's up, Morris Prince? XRP fam, Siege, Blue Wrench Crew. Sounds like Bank of America becomes the RTGS for the US of A. What's up, C? Isaiah White, what's going on, Isaiah? Appreciate you being here. Such great content. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. You should put your XRP address in the description or something so I can tip you, says YouTube. Yeah, just use the super chat, brother, if you want to contribute to the channel. I appreciate all the love. 1:30 in the morning here in Australia. Glad I caught your stream. Wow, 1:30 in the morning. Warren's hanging out with the XRP fam. I appreciate you being here, Warren. So, I mean, think about that. Market maker for U.S. liquidity provider for the United States, for the U.S. So, TJ Jackson says institutions own XRP that they can't hold yet. They own it, but they can't hold it yet. Absolutely. It's likely there is a bullish reason large amounts of XRP move around like the way that they do. That's exactly right. And I think a lot of people kind of miss that when you talk about them top wallets, right? Those 5 million more or more in a wallet, you know, that's institutional, right? That's some big money right there. So they own it, right? But they perhaps can't hold it somewhere. So that's a great point, TJ Jackson. Yeah, and it's still a lot we don't know about yet, and that's exactly my point. It's just tons that we don't know about yet. So there it is. That was just part, trust me, of great information. It might have been the ultimate. That might have been the last part of that Bank of America deep dive. You certainly want to catch it from beginning to end. Shout out to SP for providing that deep dive. It was really, really great stuff. So there's a Bank of America podcast, and they're talking about real-time payments. I don't know if it's a thing or if it's not a thing in terms of a big deal for XRP. Probably not. But that's here as well. We may have time to go over it this time. But let me share something with Mickey B. Fresh shared before I go over the article on Coil. Mickey B. Fresh. Funny. So this is on Twitter today. Mickey B's like, no, look, this is so Sir Gordon Gecko. Shout out to Sir Gordon Gecko. Again, a great community member and adds value to the community all the time, right? He's talking about the Bank of America real-time payments, instant payments via the RTP network with Bank of America, right? And so real-time payments can help transform how you transact instant payments, right? We see that, right? I'm going to share some of that. But Mickey B. Fresh says, RTP has absolutely nothing to do with Ripple. RTP is domestic clearinghouse initiative for the top U.S. banks. That I know to be correct. It is for the top U.S. banks initially. Twitter is loaded with nonsense hype of the real-time payments. Instead, the focus should be, check this out, the focus should be on Bank of America's digital portal, digital blockchain as a service, maybe that's banking as a service platform. FX operation for corporate treasurers and finance. So he said instead the focus should be there in reference to what is going to go on with Ripple. And that's exactly what Lee from SPQR Media pointed out. So Gordon Gecko replied to Mickey B. Fresh. Oh, this is all a few hours ago. Clearinghouse has everything to do with settlement, which is the key word here. There have been numerous efforts to upgrade these features, including DLT and SM calls for direct payments to consumers, as well as banks, providing access to digital wallets via a digital dollar. So that was kind of Sir Gordon's response to Mickey B. Fresh. Now, real-time payments is, in fact, a domestic thing. Now, the ACH, the clearinghouse, has had real-time payments for a while now. The banks, the United States as a whole, is just kind of have been behind. So, yeah, they're moving in a direction for real-time payments. That is without question. But I believe ultimately this move is a domestic thing. Now, the fact that other banks and other banks and other banks and how these other banks domestically work with each other probably brings in the ILP. And that leads me to this article. Don't know when this was put out. I believe Ponder John shared this. Did. Shout out to Ponder John. So this is from Digital Asset ESQ. Don't know who this person is. It's an interesting read though. So 11 playing field, FedNow, the Faster Payments Task Force, the Clearinghouse, NACHA, and Ripple. On August 5th, 2019, doesn't say the date when this was done. And on August 5th of 2019, the Federal Reserve committed to creating FedNow, a real-time payment system to be implemented by 2024, and ultimately the Fed's brainchild, stemming from the Faster Payments Task Force. We all know all of those people from Ripple involved in the Faster Payments Task Force. However, as much as I love the XRP community, this announcement came with a lot of false statements made by prominent XRP social media influencers, specifically There has been extensive mischaracterization of the Federal Reserve's uses of "we will be working with the private sector." This this led many of these said influencers to scream private sector means Ripple and XRP. As someone who has been following this process for years and who has been on a few calls regarding saying, I want to paint the real picture, provide an understanding of why Ripple is included in the private sector. History tells us that the Federal Reserve was really talking about the clearinghouse when referencing private sector. I will discuss later in detail who the clearinghouse is. To best do this, I think it's important to explain the whole story from the beginning, but first, to keep your attention, what does this have to do with Ripple and XRP? I know that this is the first questions that readers will ask. While not everything has to do with Ripple or XRP, this doesn't mean it is bad for XRP. I remember this article when it first came out, actually, now that I think about it. I will not stand on a mountain like many of the crazy people I see on Twitter and say, the Fed is using XRP. Rather, I'd like to pass the bullshit and see the underlying roots. Not everything means XRP. I do not think the Fed will use XRP. This is what this guy says, digital asset ESQ. If you ask for my speculation, I believe that the IOP will be used to bridge ledgers. That's the whole intent, right? Including between the private sector and the Fed. And let's say hypothetically these ledgers needed to source liquidity from somewhere, right? Cough, cough, ... XRP. Oil is not needed for all parts of the car to work, but without the oil, the car isn't going far, right? However, I would let Philip explain why faster payments in general are good for XRP, even if they do not mean XRP directly. So here's Philip Brown, why faster payments are good for XRP. Here's 1 of 5. To fund settlements, final delivery to beneficiary, the sending bank typically needs to have a pre-funded notional account at the receiving bank or a correspondent in the middle. Today, the sending bank has a day. Today, the sending bank has a day or 3 to deliver the funds they need to have in their no-show based on the certainty of payments already processed. Today, the but in the world of faster payments, banks will need to forecast the funding required so that they can ensure enough is available in advance of payments being processed. Forecasting in real time is much harder, and getting it wrong will mean unhappy clients or too much money, literally, left at the table. Enter XRP stage left for on-demand, instant funding. Voila. Hashtag XRP standard. Shout out to Dilla Brown. So, big banks versus community banks to fight over who will control real-time payments. Yeah, like that is really a fight. That's not a fight at all. It may come to no surprises to you to learn, but big banks have a firm control on the payment system. The infrastructure behind the payment system, including same-day transfers of money between accounts and the global payment structure alone, is owned and operated by big banks. Yeah, I'm not going to read. So we know that. Big banks flexed their muscle in 2012. The NACHA, which creates broadly adopted payment and financial messaging rules and standards, not to be confused with the clearinghouse, proposed a plan to speed up the ACH system in the United States. This was killed by the many of the nation's largest mega banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, who ironically are also members of the clearinghouse. They killed it. Okay? In 2014, the clearinghouse, a United States LLC, private sector payment infrastructure company owned by some of the largest banks, including Bank of America and Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, etc., announced plans to build a real-time payment system. Quite ironic given their resistance towards a public sector real-time payment system just a year prior, right? He links to that. It's a good read as well. So the above is extremely important. Big banks have their fingers in every payments pot. They have the ability to halt progress where it will speed up payments and allow for a level playing field, but then ultimately turn around and create the same thing that they just vetoed, but this time within their full control. Enter the level playing field initiative. The federal government realized that the above is an issue with the big banks. Big banks have too much power. The downside of that power had shown itself in the 2008 crisis. So in 2013, the Fed started getting serious. Yeah. So on September 23rd, 2013, the Fed released a paper titled Payment System Improvement. We all know about that. And again, they had to do something. The Fed had to do something because the world realized what happened in 2008. It's the fact that they got bailed out. When they created the mess, we had to bail them out. Fell on our backs, the taxpayers' backs. So December 2013, the clearinghouse publishes a paper titled U.S. Payment System. I'll remember that one too. Recommendations for safe evolution and future improvements. Oddly enough, this paper starts using words like interoperable, which had not previously been issued. Okay. Side note, during this time period, Ripple was alleged to be working with some of the big banks that controlled the clearinghouse, such as Bank of America. Very interesting that they start talking about interoperable. Less than 2 years later, Ripple drops the labs, implying their product that they had been designing was complete, and releases the ILP, which is the main goal of making all ledgers interoperable together. Again, he provides a link. So this is a great read for sure. This is where the coincidences keep piling up. As of January 2015, the Federal Reserve released strategies for improving the United States payment system in response to the 2013 paper. This 2015 interesting year paper was the start of an initiative towards a level playing field, which sought interoperability and financial inclusion. Same year, NACH introduced the same day ACH had been killed 2 years ago. All right, so a little history here. The same year, the Federal Reserve creates the Faster Payments Task Force. The task force included people like Ryan Sagone from Ripple, Johnny Drecker, Walmart, John Dretchny from Walmart, Steve Leffert from the Clearinghouse, Peter Gordon from Santander, Janet Estep. Right? So this is where the magic begins. This is where Ripple changed its path. It created the ILP solely for this purpose. And we all know that Ripple does, in fact, do that. They pivot when necessary. XRP started to take on a whole new meaning to the financial system as a whole. The world was now moving toward a fast, interoperable payment structure. The battle between the big banks and community banks begins. Why? Why? Because Ripple, the company, could provide to the medium community, small banks, community banks. And they don't have to deal with the top banks. They can deal with the medium and the smaller banks, which ultimately outnumber the big banks, right? That was the deal. So yes, this gets confusing, but you must remember that in 2014, the clearinghouse announced their plans to build an RTP system, which it did in fact launch in 2016 for all banks, but guess who doesn't get on board? Exactly. Small banks and community banks. Why? Because they are leveraged by the bigger banks, and they know it. They have been. They literally have to pay to play. Ripple knew this because they went and talked to the banks, and they realized that it was, the big banks, the old system essentially had a stronghold over the smaller banks and community banks. Big banks do not like this. If small banks got on board, the Fed would have no option but to announce the real-time payments was the victor and that the Fed had done its job. But small banks and community banks wanted a level playing field. Get me wrong, big banks win no matter what, but they are playing both sides. They want to control all payments, but if they can't, they ensure the backup plan of working with the company that will provide the Internet of Value with interoperability. This is what Bank of America realized. Bank of America ultimately realized that in the world of advancing technology, that Ripple mission was Ripple's mission, and it was going to include the top 5, 7, 8 banks, or it was not. But they were going to continue to move on, period, because of the ILP. Remember, this is the thing that they gifted. And I always say it's the Blue Ocean strategy. You haven't checked out that book, you definitely want to check it out. When they created the ILP and then they gifted it to the world via the W3. Genius move. They could have kept it to themselves. They could have kept it to themselves and worked from a scarcity mindset and blown out a bunch of different things. Just ripped them apart. Ripped all kind of competition. Ripped everything apart. They own it. But when they gifted it to the world. Okay, when they did that, the Fed, the Donald, the world recognizes the company as being very, very viable and moving forward. That ultimately was the greatest thing they could have done. This is why all big banks and all big regulatory and world agencies are working with Ripple. As Ripple created the key to the world being interoperable. Community banks want a level playing field. They don't want the current structure where if they want to send payments, they have to rely on big banks and pay their exorbitant fees. Big banks have said that while their real-time payments will cost the same for everyone, they will change that system if the Fed creates their own solution. I remember when they said that. And therein lies the problem. Big banks make promises, but then make threats to walk back on their promises. This is why community banks and small banks would not sign on. Now, here's where you can do research and look into the submission by small banks and the conglomerate agencies to the Faster Payments Task Force, and submission by big banks, and more specifically, the clearinghouse. Small banks wanted a federal system. Big banks wanted their system to be the federal system. It's just too much for me to go into, and I would bore you with the details. So the conclusion, we all know the answer to this one. The Fed is creating a faster payment system. It's called FedNow. We don't know what they'll choose, but what we do know, that they will work with the private sector. This means that they will work with the clearinghouse, in this guy's opinion, and other private sector payment companies, because they have the largest private sector payment system created and controlled by big banks. This may not sound good for Ripple, but it is. Ripple was never going after domestic payments, sourcing liquidity from XRP. Never. We all know that. We all understand that. It's exactly what Mickey B. Fresh is saying. Ripple wants XRP to be the bridge asset of the entire world, which is bigger than the domestic problem. This is a bigger problem than faster payments actually requires. The faster the world gets, the more they'll need bridge assets like XRP. The velocity of money is a real thing, and XRP, our ledger, can provide it. And with the ILP. But all that matters to you, Ripple fans out there, is that they'll use XRP rather than they will have to be interoperable. And they are solving the last mile problem that we have with you. Everything will be connected. Everything will be connected. Shout out to Kurt Scott from Love for Crypto, who pointed this out to us many moons ago, that everything will be connected and the ILP will connect them. We are at the beginning of the modernization of an antiquated payment system. Ripple has built the internet of payments and calls it the internet of value. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. It is elegant. So, what about my favorite conspiracy YouTubers? I don't need to that. He doesn't like the people that kind of do the thing with the Ripple riddles and all that kind of stuff. Ripple solving cross-border payments and bridging ledgers is huge alone. It's absolutely massive alone. And the world agrees. Ripple solving cross-border payments and bridging ledgers is huge alone. You don't need the IMF to receive the escrow or for Trump to announce XRP as U.S. reserve currency, or XRP to be pegged to go. Parentheses, he says, a theory I do not even understand how it could be plausible, by the way. End. For example, to increase in value dramatically, okay, you don't need all that for XRP to increase in value dramatically. XRP will be the bridge asset of the world. And that alone is huge. And no, every time you hear level playing field doesn't mean XRP, but that's okay. I hope this was helpful. If you want to tell me why I'm wrong, you can find me on Twitter at Digital Asset ESQ. Esquire. Digital Asset ESQ. Great read. This is not legal advice. I'm highly invested in XRP and MoneyGram and SBI. I just wanted everyone to be happy and healthy. Really great read. Really good stuff there, guys. Really, really great read. If you haven't checked this guy out, let me follow him. Hope I don't have to sign on to do that. All right, I'm not going to sign in right now. I'm going to keep that up. So, guys, I mean, that's kind of the deal. I thought that was a great read. The Bank of America, real-time payments, JP Morgan, the top 5 banks, obviously this is something that they've been wanting to do. They're going to roll it out. That is cool because, you know, you want to get the U.S. especially getting used to real-time payments because it just leads ultimately to XRP, no matter what. The ILP, that's why we say pick one. So if they pick the ILP initially in terms of connecting, making everything interoperable, once they choose the ILP, and it's going to happen, going to choose the ILP. W3C has it gifted to them. They're going to use that without question. They're going to use the ILP to connect the world. That is going to happen. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what they're going to do. It will be the ILP. It will be the ILP. Thank you for the $5 super chat, YouTube's biggest juice. I appreciate that. Would rather send you XRP, but you made me get my credit card. Buy a few XRP. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So ultimately, this is what's going to happen, right? The ILP. That's why we say on this channel, just pick one. The ILP, the Ledger, XRP, ODL, doesn't matter. Just pick one. Because ultimately, Ripple is creating internet value. Ripple's going to still keep doing their thing, go out and create more use cases. That's why spring is around. More and more use cases that use the XRP, Ledger, and XRP. They're going to continue to do that. And the world will eventually come on, bank by bank, central bank by central bank, to what is the liquidity provider. What's that on-demand liquidity provider? They know what it is. It's just gradually they'll keep onboarding and on. It's just, quite honestly, just a matter of time, guys. It really, in the end, that's what it is. So Bank of America, yeah, we saw the patent. We know they're working with Ripple. Who knows? It looks as though Lee from SPQR Media discovered ultimately what Ripple and Bank of America are going to be doing. It looks that way. We shall see. That's what it looks like. But aren't we, how blessed are we that we have content creators like SPQR Media who can point this out and get us kind of 2 and 3 or 4 steps ahead? Who knows? We saw the tweets between Alice Cobb and someone from Ripple asking him to take down the whole Bank of America thing with partnership with Ripple because they were planning on doing something big in terms of announcing. So we know it's a real deal. It's just, what is it? What is going to ultimately look? And you can't disregard the partnerships. You just can't disregard them. They keep amping up more and more, whether it be the Philippines or whether Mexico and the US, it doesn't matter. They're going to amp up and they're going to continue to amp up. God knows what's going to happen with SBI when they finally launch. I don't know if it's going to be this month or next. But these are all things that are not going away. It's just that it's just when they actually take place. They're not going away. SBI Ripple of Asia is a real deal, right? Mr. Yoshitaka Kitao, his mission, quite honestly, is the same as Ripple's. And that is to create more and more use cases for XRP to be the world's reserve currency. And whatever facet whatever that looks like. So together, it's a done deal. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this stream. Thank you so much for hanging out. I know BK stream is starting here shortly. I appreciate you guys spending the morning, now afternoon, hanging out with me. Barry Broussard Jr. Hey, brother, what's going on, my friend? Just practicing social distancing. That's them. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks again for the super chat. YouTube base douche. I appreciate that big time. Yeah, I guess I need to get a QR code on here somehow if I can figure out how to do that. It's been a great hangout, guys. Win Mullet, I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, Devon, Steve, and all the mods of the channel. I appreciate everything you guys do for this channel. Check out that Coil article. It's really a great read. I think it'll help to level our temperaments and this type of thing. But ultimately, the champ is here. That is XRP. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up the stream like I do all of my streams and remind you of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know. That the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.